We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When Thomas Jefferson wrote those words, he had no idea the impact that they would have. Thomas Jefferson wrote a lot of things. One of the things he wrote was the epitaph that he wanted to be on his gravestone. He said, "I want to be remembered for three things. I want to be remembered as the man who wrote the Declaration of Independence, as the man who wrote the statutes of religious freedom for the state of Virginia, and as the father of the University of Virginia." Now, Thomas Jefferson had accomplished a lot in his life. He had been a president, a vice president, a secretary of state, a diplomat, an ambassador. He had been part of the Congressional Congress. He had been part of the House of Burgesses. He'd been a successful lawyer, the governor. He had done so many things. He had been so many places. He had written books. He had been a scientist, an architect. But what he wanted to be remembered was for writing the Declaration of Independence, a document that he failed to live up to the ideals in his own life, but one that was a shining light that would be copied by many nations over the course of the next 200 years. He wanted to be remembered for writing a tract about religious freedom, because he believed that people should be able to worship or not worship however they wanted. And he wanted to be remembered as the father of an institute of education where people would come and they would learn and they would grow, and they would go and make Virginia a better place. Now, Thomas Jefferson, like many others in history, is under a lot of flack right now. There are even many who want to take down statues of him because he had slaves, because he was flawed, because he was racist. And I'm not here to tell you that Thomas Jefferson was a perfect man, because he was far from it. But Thomas Jefferson was a master at blending together words and ideas. You see, Thomas Jefferson knew what would last. He knew that if he could write something that would set certain events into motion, that America would continue to get better. You see, Thomas Jefferson had a vision for what he wanted America to be, and during his lifetime, America never got there. And in that way, he's just like all of us. We all have visions for what America should be, or what our churches should be, or what even we ourselves should be. And just like Thomas Jefferson, we will strive to reach those ideals, but just like Thomas Jefferson, we will never reach those ideals, because if we could make the ideals a reality, they wouldn't be an ideal. If you could write your epitaph, what would you say? What would be the accomplishments that you would want to be remembered for? You see, the ancient samurai of feudal Japan, one of their core beliefs was that you needed to live every day as if it was your last. And here in America, in our Western culture, we don't like to think about death. We don't want to write our gravestone. We don't want to think about today could be the day I could die, because we want to live forever. But in the Japanese culture, when you think about your death and realize that it could be today, it changes how you live. If today was the last day you would hold your children and kiss your spouse, would you let the little things that annoy you and frustrate you get to you? If you knew that today was the last day you were going to work, would you gossip and play politics? if you knew that today was the last day that you had to impact people's life, would you complain or would you encourage? You see, when you think about your death, so many things that seem so important just lose their value. How much money you have, what cars you drive, the clothes you wear, it doesn't really matter. And when Thomas Jefferson looked at the end of his life, he said, you know, I don't care about this amazing house that I built, or all the money that I have, or the books that I've read or written, or the things that I've done, or even the political offices that I've held and the power that I've had in my hand. What I care about is the legacy of my words, the legacy of freedom, the legacy of religious freedom, and the legacy of education. What do you want your legacy to be? You know, it's crazy. We can't choose the level of success that we'll get. We can push for it and we can try, but we can't guarantee that we'll make $1 million. We can't guarantee that we'll get that corner office. We can't guarantee that we'll have a ton of children or get married to that wonderful person, or like, we can't control so many things, but we can control our legacy. Because our legacy speaks to the impact that we have on people's lives. Mr. Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood said, the key to success is 3 things. Number 1, be kind. Number 2, be kind. Number 3, be kind. And while Mr. Rogers' TV show, The Neighborhood, has run forever and impacted the lives of millions and millions of people, he knew that his legacy was always standing right in front of him. And whether you were a small child who had lost your dog, or a hotshot reporter, or an employee, you knew that Mr. Rogers loved you because he was so kind. And that was his legacy. Not the Emmys, not the Lifetime Achievement Awards, not the superstardom of being Mr. Rogers. It was how he treated the people in front of him. And so today, write your gravestone epitaph. What's your legacy? How do you want to be remembered? Because you can control that. This world needs kindness. This world needs freedom. This world needs education. This world needs you to let go of the shallow goals and reach for something that is made of gold. Because you were built to enjoy and to share life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. God bless.